welcome. I'm Oles Garjuk and you're watching Head to Head with UATV. Ukraine has been reforming its state administration. As part of this, the Ministry of Justice created the Directorate for Strategic Planning and European Integration. Today we want to discuss the purpose of this structure, what it has done this year, and what we can expect in the next year. To talk more about this, we're joined in the studio today by Yulia Zaichenko, Director General of Strategic Planning and European Integration Directorate at the Ministry of Justice of Ukraine. Hello and thank you for joining us today. So, as far as I understand, this institution is new. This branch of the Ministry of Justice has been working within this year only, yes? Could you explain us and our international audience what was the purpose to create such an institution?
Yes, it's true. There are several years as Ukraine reforming the public administration system within the government. And one of the initiatives was to attract young persons with international education, fluent foreign languages, and really new strategic vision of development of Ukraine to the public administration. And 1 year ago, the Ministry of Justice of Ukraine was involved within the process of public administration reform as one of the pilot profile ministries. Within this reform, our directorate was established, and it firstly in the history of public administration that it was created special unit which combined several functions which were earlier in different units within the ministry. And today we are delivering the results on such spheres as European integration, strategic planning and international and institutional development of the ministry, strategic budget planning and coordination of all international technical supports which the Ministry of Justice is getting from our international partners.
These are the functions that have been united into one structure.
Yes, and it's very logically and clever decision because we cannot speak today about the strategic planning without our European integration priorities. And we should, while planning our activities, we should understand what international supports we have today and what we can use more effectively to finally achieve our strategic goals, and at the same time taking into account budget performance management, because you cannot plan anything without clear European integration priority, donor support, and understanding what are resources allocated today for your ideas and future plans.
So basically you have all the tools to assess the real situation of Ukraine's Euro integration and the possibilities to do it, to actually fulfill this plan somehow at some point, and then you can plan the whole strategy steps, how to go towards the same, right?
Yes, and it's actually what we did during this year. I would like to mention that our directorate really was established just last December, so just 1 year of our unit, and we have completely new team of young persons joined the public administration today, and we worked 1 year, and one of the main achievements was truly within the European integration sphere, because the Ministry of Justice is reporting for the justice, freedom and security sector before the European Union. And we should understand that justice, freedom and security is not only limited to the justice reform, establishment of the new court system, reattestation of judges. It also includes cybersecurity, it includes integrated border management, legal cooperation. And we decided to deepen our cooperation with the European Union this year, and within the Directorate, with cooperation of our state authorities involved in justice sector, we developed a new agenda for cooperation in justice, freedom and security sector.
This is interesting, okay.
Yes, it's like a comprehensive document which have a program character. That means that it was initiative of Ukrainian side. We enumerated all main activities where we would like to deepen cooperation with the European Union, where we would like to cooperate more intensive, intensify our cooperation with European agencies, for example, as CEPOL, Frontex, ENISA, like cybersecurity networking of the European Union.
You have to decrypt, I think, a little bit for our audience.
Yeah, I will explain in a few seconds, yes. But the main idea of the document to have clear guidelines where we would like to cooperate more with the European Union. And we already communicated this document, and it was just a few weeks ago the Association Council, Ukraine and European Union Association Council in Brussels, where our minister delivered his presentation of this document to European Union, and they already agreed in their joint statement, Ukraine and EU joint statement, to deeper cooperation in this field. And this program document was one of the core instruments with this cooperation for our future years now.
This is very interesting. So as I understand, there are some concrete points, concrete steps how to improve Ukraine's legislation, right? In terms of freedom, security, and well, justice. Yeah, the legislation.
Yes, I would like to point that not only to improve legislation and to make it closer to European standards and EU acts, but also it includes practical cooperation. For example, we would like to cooperate more with the CEPOL. Frontex CEPOL is a special agency of the European Union which is dealing for training of policemen, and Frontex is dealing with cooperation on the frontier of European Union, because today we cannot speak of about the sector of freedom, justice and security, notwithstanding the meaning of integrated border management with the European Union, because we have a long border with the EU, and now it's a core interest to provide necessary security for this cooperation, and also taking into account visa liberalization regime and enhancing of cooperation for the, for example, personal data of persons which is crossing the borders and so on. So its part is devoted to the intensifying our implementation of EU legislation. Part of this document have concrete steps of cooperation with European agencies and Ukraine, and part of the document considering included to consider our future steps and declaration of Ukraine that, for example, we would like to join Lugano Convention to have more, to prove that European Union can fully trust to our justice system, and we could more recognize the decision of our courts.
Of our courts, local courts.
So to work also in this sphere.
So this is very broad, actually, cooperation with the European Union. And you say that this document has been recently presented in Brussels. What was the reaction from the European officials?
Actually, we should mention that this part of justice, freedom and security is stipulated within the association agreement, or Ukraine and EU association agreement, and this chapter 3, which is devoted to the sphere, doesn't have any annexes to it. We do not have concrete list, for example, of legislation which we should implement for this sphere. And we should provide more concrete steps and to formalize it and to make the structure of cooperation. And the European Union welcomed our initiative to deeper cooperation and to make concrete, like benchmarks. Because earlier we really cooperated in this sphere within visa liberalization action plan. It was a lot of tasks for Ukraine to fulfill to get this visa-free regime, and main of them was regarding the justice, freedom and security sector. Now we provided the success and we delivered all our benchmarks, and today we should move forward and to deeper cooperation after visa liberalization to achieve more trust and security with the EU. And it's also important, I would like to highlight that one of the points is the cybersecurity, which is very actual now as we are moving to the election year today.
And also as we have continuing interference of Russian special agents into, well, all the Ukrainian governing processes and all this cyber attacks also on the Ukrainian governing bodies. But if you're already touching this topic of cybersecurity, then it leads my thoughts to this Russian aggression. We have lots of cases opened in different European courts against Russia and Russia's aggression, and it is indeed very important to make the Ukrainian legislation fully compliant with the European values, norms, and also laws. And to me, it is a very important question of recognition, the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. Ukraine recognizes the jurisdiction of this court, but we haven't ratified the Rome Statute yet. So what is Ministry of Justice planning to do about this? Why aren't we ratifying this document now?
I would like to mention that it's true that Rome Statute are within the action plan of Ukraine for the European integration. It's already included, but we should comply with some procedure under the constitutional law. We should have several steps to get this ratification finally.
Okay, so
and we are working on
procedure?
this, and it's on the agenda of EU integration. And I can assure you that the work is going on in this direction.
Can you forecast any time frame, any period that we could hope for this Rome Statute to be ratified by Ukraine?
You know, today it's a little bit hard to make any forecasting with concrete data because it's not only the government involved in the process, but also the parliament of Ukraine, because any ratification should be passed by the law, which will be adopted by the parliament. So we will see before in the selection year how it will go. But I think that it's the issue on which all the bodies on the same page. So
yeah, for sure, Ukraine is purely interested in ratifying this Rome Statute. But what is the procedure? So, what are the concrete steps for Ukraine?
As far as I know, the government of Ukraine already prepared and submitted this law of ratification, and we are now waiting the steps from the Parliament to proceed. So.
Well, another issue that I would like to focus on, if we are improving our legislation and improving our judiciary in Ukraine, and we want to go along well with the European standards, we have to focus also on discrimination and hate crimes in Ukraine, because as far as I know, and many Ukrainians, they do know that unfortunately hate crimes are still categorized by Ukrainian law enforcement as hooliganism in most of the cases. And what is in the plan of the Ministry of Justice to tackle this question? Because I do know that we criminalized the domestic violence in Ukraine, right? But the law hasn't gone into effect yet, right?
I would like to say that there are a lot of issues that should be improved within the criminal legislation of Ukraine.
Yeah, of course. I just want a bit of discussion, you know, maybe this is the agenda for 2019. Maybe this is awaiting us in the future.
It's very good that in Ukraine we have this concrete action plan for the European integration, and we have enumerated a lot of legislative acts which are already registered within the Parliament, and Ministry of Justice providing the support of this law to be presented before the Parliament and the parliamentary committees.
So the parliamentarians haven't voted yet?
It's not the issue. You know that there is a special procedure. Like any initiative from the government which is made for European integration should be agreed and should get the approval of all ministry involved. Then we should present it before the cabinet of minister, and upon the decision of the cabinet, it should went to the parliament, and then it's get into the specialized parliamentary committee and got through several presentations there, and then several readings within the parliament, because we know that our people, like our MPs, also have their maybe thoughts and ideas and their amendments to any law. That is why it's really, you know, that European integration, it's not the issue of one political cycle. It's a priority which is going from, like, the parliament could be changed, but anyway, we have this, our concrete plan of deliverables, and we will work further on all spheres. And criminal legislation is really a complex one, and when you provide any amendments, you should see how it will follow, and that it should be kept in compliance with all other responsibilities, procedural issues.
And with the other articles of the criminal code, for sure,
yes,
of Ukraine.
So I'm not a direct specialist in criminal law because we have specialized department here, and but from the European integration we provide this coordination of all initiatives that should be passed in time.
So you cooperate between the branches of the Ministry of Justice,
yes,
and
our Directorate,
you push on this issue.
Yes, for sure. We like a bad policeman within the ministry to keep everyone on the same page within the European integration, within the fulfillment of governmental plan of priorities. We keep in track of timelines, and that any initiative are in compliance with our general framework of our international and internal obligations.
Well, if you're saying that you're a bad policeman in the Ministry of Justice, then the Ministry of Justice should be probably the bad policeman for our parliamentarians and hurry them up to to vote for some changes.
I would like to say that to make government really strong, the Ministry of Justice has this function of legal due diligence. Any project, any draft law, or any draft project of regulation which is going to the government, to the meeting of all ministries, should pass the due diligence within the ministry, and we provide stability of the whole legal system. And that is why all ministries should, like any initiative of other ministries, should comply with the constitution, with any other laws of the system. And that is why it's true that the ministry is checking each ministry initiative on its compliance with general legal system of Ukraine, and it's really hard work. So it's the ministry, we forming the policy in the spheres where we are in charge with, and at the same time we are checking the coherence and complexity of the whole legal system of the government, and at the same time we also providing sometimes positions for the draft law of the parliament. So we are like,
I hope that
we are kind of check and balances system here.
I hope that my next question is going to be in the sphere of work, is going to be about the sphere of work of your directorate. If we're talking about Euro-integration, there is a document that tackles the question, well, not the domestic violence discrimination, domestic violence maybe, but the Council of Europe's Istanbul Convention tackles the violence against women. Yes, we know that there is also violence against men, but still violence against women. Does Ukraine plan to ratify this document also?
It's also in our plans and in the list of priorities, and our profile department is working on it, and there are several projects which is prepared, and I hope that we will get we will soon become the member.
Okay,
I hope so.
That's good, because everything that I mentioned is already in the plan, which is nice. I hope that you will fulfill this plan in the upcoming year as soon as possible, at least. Could you tell us about the future plans for the 2019, or maybe this strategy, this agenda, EU-Ukraine agenda, has some certain deadline, and you have divided some goals for each year?
As from the part of the view of our directorate, for sure the European integration is one of the main priorities of our minister for the next year, and here we will provide already implementation of this document, as I mentioned, new agenda for justice, freedom and security, because it's complex, it is involve a lot of authorities. So we presented it before European Union, we get their position, and they almost approved politically all the steps within this document. The next step is coordination of the whole sector, so of the bodies involved for the implementation of this document, and further consultation with the European Union, how to better provide this cooperation and with the concrete deliverables. The other very interesting sphere is the electronic trust services. The Minister of Justice was in charge to provide the law to implement regulation of European Union regarding the electronic trust services, to make Ukraine more closer to the electronic, digital EU market, because it's one of the main priorities as one of the spheres we would like to integrate. And in Ukraine we have really well-developed system of digital signature, and now the law is in force, and we are working on secondary legislation to make it fully implemented in Ukraine. And one of our priorities is negotiations with the European Union, that European Union will recognize all electronic trust services which is provided within the Ukraine.
Great.
It's like a qualified electronic signature. For example, now when we will enter this market, I hope it will be soon, you will have the electronic signatures which is issued in Ukraine will be automatically recognized by any person or legal entity and European Union official authorities within the member states of European Union, and we will enter the e-commerce market, simply speaking. And also you will have not only electronic signature, but we have a new feature like a mark of time when the electronic signature was done, was any amendments to this document after this electronic signature was actually applied to this document, and it's a completely new era of electronic commerce for Ukraine also.
That would be great. Well, let's hope that these great plans will be fulfilled as soon as possible. I thank you for being a guest today in our studio, and I thank that you and your colleagues are moving Ukraine closer to the EU.
Thank you very much for inviting, and we will do our best in the coming year.
Thanks, great. That was Yulia Zaichenko, Director General of Strategic Planning and European Integration Directorate at the Ministry of Justice of Ukraine. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Ola Zgarjuk. Goodbye.